What's up, everybody? I started today, like I start most days, by seeing how the news has not changed, how folks are still operating on their programs, seemingly now more than ever. The division not only getting, unfortunately, through illogic purposes. Unfortunately, and we do not know what I've always considered is that there are many theaters throughout the world, and there are many large reaching games at play. What's a good way to say that there are a lot of how about a lot of different North Korea, South Korea, Mexico, the border, Honduras, South America, Brazil, the coming new world currency, the abolition of guns worldwide, the rise of populism worldwide, things are happening in the Middle East, in 9 different places in the Middle East. Things are happening in Ukraine. Things are happening in Russia. Things are happening right here. What we're doing is we're just taking half of a segment of humanity and completely gone off your radar, and what is left is your echo chamber that is telling you this one thing. And I believe that across all of the theaters, and there's going to be some joint operations going. What a great day to say at 420. Hopefully you are celebrating and going deep in the simulation, understanding that as you bring in more plant matter, you realize that plants matter. The only reason you're alive is take their seeds around because you have legs and they don't. So get to work, okay, and do your best to be the most healthy part of the human ecosystem operating right here inside of the healthy earth that we find ourselves in. Oh, and isn't your body and isn't your health and isn't your life a healthy place? Is there a war of who's going on? And that's what I want to set up there. It's like, take every single situation, every single small interest, large interest, every arena of possible battle, the Koreas, the Middle East, China, you name it, cyber, online, in a communist version, a socialist version, a capitalist version. There are the people who were there and they had a plan and everything was moving exactly the way it was supposed to go. And you had other people that go, you know what? I've got a great idea of how we can do this better if we only had some different rules in place, if we only had some different people in place, if we only had some different assets in place, if we only had some different people investing in a different place. And how would that look if every arena, both known and unknown, operates with a opposition party and a control party? Then why not create a false arena where you also own both sides of the control theory and you own both sides of the opposition theory, and then you present 2 different stories to the public. You allow them to connect the dots, cross the T's, and find exactly where they lay out in this situation. Because, let's say, and for this interest, what great money there is to be at war worldwide. These bullets need to be recast. These missiles need to be repurchased. All of the things in the rebuilding. And as you rebuild, you get to dump in all of your regulations that slowly encroach your overarching plan through the rebuilding, because things can only be rebuilt if they're cast in the place of beginning. And in this case, all of the agendas that are available when you get to then rebuild something. We're going to get to how the cathedral fits into that in just a minute. But what I'm saying is, perhaps one group in society says, well, it'd be probably good for the economy, good for liberty, good for justice to have some patriot blood spill in some fashion actually here in the homeland, and we'll see how that shakes out depending on if we can get people to actually individually act. So why not have a story where you have one side of, you have a government that is following the rules to the letter, and they are prosecuting crimes that have more evidence and more of an impact than what your enemy has just espoused as the walls are closing in. This is the worst thing you've ever seen, worse than Watergate. And what you have is those people believe this, and everything these people do, they perceive as evil. You have the people following the rules and the people perceiving the government following the rules as evil. And then they react to the government following their rules by acting even more wild, which causes the people to think, well, we need to arrest more. We need to do, and then all of a sudden, perhaps by design, you have this complete divide. And can you get people to a place where they will actually do something stupid like have a negative idea about a fellow American, because just because some people missed it, that doesn't mean it's a good time to bring everybody back home. What we had, I love Barack Obama. I've said it from the beginning. That is a cool dude. I watch that dude talk forever. I love the way he controls the mic, controls the room. He's calm, he's confident. Just cause, you know, he pushed a lot of agendas that didn't seemingly be right. I thought that the ending of what was going on in the Bush presidency with Guantanamo and all of these other things would have stopped, and, you know, it didn't. And so it was just the continuation of that. And you're like, oh man, you have this amazing leader in this just iconic shot of the park, and so many Americans affected, and kids at just seeing someone just, oh my God, imagine being represented as the most powerful man in the United States. How important and powerful that is for a kid growing up to go, holy shit, that's possible in this country? I believe. Heck yeah. I believe. And maybe it was the fact that the logo looked like Diet Pepsi and everything that they said made sense. It's going to be hope. It's going to be change. How can you say something against that? And then nothing changes. You damage the hope brand, unfortunately, for those people who allowed it. What we saw in the media was very, very not an aggressive media for 8 years, and not an aggressive late night for 8 years, and not aggressive comedians for 8 years. And there was a very softening of the rhetoric in this country, that there was no wrongdoing ever at any time, because the drumbeat that was happening in the media did not reflect it. The people who read the news every day and be like, man, there's a lot of real stuff going on here that seemingly is being swept under the rug. And again, how high can you get this up? Are you in such a position that you go, I'm going to bring the cool dude in for 8 years. The cool dude he's going to be so cool. Everyone's going to love him. You can't say anything about him. So in the underneath, I'm going to do every single thing I can get away with as far as getting the government where I need it to be. So when I flip the script and I bring Captain fucking Headliner in here and he makes everybody laugh, and then all of a sudden the media now goes from everything's great to complete freak out mode, and they don't realize that they have an audience of human beings that watch them during the Bush time, and they watch them during the Obama time, and now they're watching them during the Trump time, and come to find out time and time again, they just continue to go down the hole of, we better get eyes on and stay in business. And that is what the prevailing interest of the day is, their bottom line. And again, if you're marching to someone's idea of civil conflict, then perhaps those are the big pieces that are being moved. And maybe somebody had an idea of how to do it, and somebody had a better idea of how to do it, or somebody had an idea of how to make somewhere else, and we didn't have to do it here. And if you had a bad plan for the country and people, and perhaps that's it. Perhaps somebody, when she said, what difference does it make? That was somebody in the military that said, what? You didn't send the help, and Mark Stevens, and blah, 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 and this is how it went down, and this is your answer? And all it takes was somebody on the inside to look around, and a small group of people, like we've determined, and going, fuck this. Fuck this, and it starts now. They've been firing generals because they want to weaken the idea of the military. They want to weaken the idea of what it takes to be a military personnel or a firefighter or a policeman, because they need to, move a thing that is not somebody adequately proper and ready to do their job. Literal readiness, which is what it takes to preserve America and freedom along our front lines. And that's why we have the best and the brightest to keep us the most safe. And what we seem to have is a leadership who, perhaps by design or for their idea, or they were forced to, or they took money greedily to make it happen, to move us into where we are today, where everything is divided. And I'm out of time. And so as you hang through, watch the next video, I'm going to get to how the different arenas, the different sides of the arenas, and the rebuilding, the Hegelian dialectic, and all of that coming up next on Iron Brigade, everybody. He was down at the Down the Hatch bar in Pinellas County. Cops say Evans had been yelling obscenities in the bar. That dude was mad because they were standing in front of the bootleg they had of Robert Kraft getting a handy, allegedly. After police arrived at the business, Evans, who lives in Pinellas, continued to make crude sexual comments. That's right, dude. They went to fingerprint this dude. He's like, I got one better for you. Put that black stuff in my hands. I'll find where you keep your black stuff. Up, swung on a slip. He allegedly reached his left hand down the victim's right buttocks area, rubbed the area. Fam identified Evans as a person who battered her. Now they had 9 hands in a lineup, and then they were like, well, I picked the one that has the black shit on it from the fingerprinting. Who set up that probe, Mueller? What up, nerds? We are in a state of returning to you after you looked at whatever you're doing in between our break of us breaking down the potential that in every movement of an idea, every movement of a political idea, an economic system, a new way to tax the public, perhaps protect against a coming threat, that there is money to be made on all sides of every idea, new and old, and the new ideas you create off the old ideas in a state of perpetual growth and economic growth because you indeed invested wholeheartedly into one side of an idea of something that you already had the answer for. So if you already have the answer to a problem, this is called the Hegelian dialectic. If you already have in mind, let's just say for a large, wide, easy thing for us to put our minds on. If I have a business that can really profit off of the rebuilding, refueling, remanning, and retooling of a nation that has just gone through a civil conflict, and I am able to profit on every decision made in that business is built and then ready to go, would it not behoove me then to invest in the continued erosion of trust in a nation? Because when the sudden event happens that everybody reacts to in the moment, you business then, here's our contract, let's go to work. And so how far out from this are you in your planning? So the Hegelian dialectic in this case would say, I own the patent and the new technology for facial recognition systems worldwide. We're ready to go online. We're collecting information as we speak. We're going to need a place to have these things so we can beta test them out in the public, in a place where, the public wouldn't think twice. We saw what happened when they brought out Google Glass and the nerds were getting their asses kicked for making a bad decision about bringing their eyewear into public in a place where nobody wanted to deal with you being, the tripod for Big Brother. But if you can start a couple generations of human being, of citizen, that says, because an airline and an airport was used for such and such a tragic event, do we need to change the way we vet people as they engage in these airports? And everything that happens around the world that is attached to an airline, an airport, a missing thing, a mistake, lost luggage, funny, returning home from a soldier is the memeing of that travel. Because you got to get to where you got to get because you spent the best amount of money you had available to have the most comfortable flight on what used to be an experience that was people wore suits, ladies wore expensive dresses. It was a thing to do. And now I believe if you want to put a thong on your iguana and buy it a seat, motherfucker, you're going to Florida. All right. And that's it. So it is a different time. So what happens, I'm saying, those of us our age that grew up in a time previous, I'll take it back, smoking on airlines. Getting 2 meals on a 6-hour flight, getting just the snacks, having to pay for the snacks, having to pay for your carry-on bag, being able to walk right into the airport, get your ticket, walk right up to the gate and walk right onto the plane. Your bag's got the security, not you. You're supposed to be, no, because you could walk your friend to watch them, take him to the gate and watch him goodbye. That was the thing that we used to be able to do. And we forget how far things have incrementally changed over the course of our lifetimes, and kids that have only grown up watching, Billy get the bad pat down at the TSA because this guy was either told to, or it's today, or they're having a contest. How many bad things can you do at your job and you get a bonus? I don't know what they do there. All right. I'm just saying that is an available thing that is in the news and another thing that gets the eyeballs on the airport. So if I own the scanner that does the facial recognition and I know that has to get to an airport to do it, what I need to do is have the public focused on something else. In this case, bomb dogs now walking around. The firearms we're seeing are more exotic, more like Europe, more of an assault weapon than just a holstered firearm. You're in the machine now. Okay, your shoes are off, your belt is off, all of these things, and you've just said yes, and you've acquiesced to the situation that has changed around you because we allowed it. And then knowing that we would allow it, what kind of event would have to happen for the public to be able to go, yeah, of course we need to do this? And what kind of event would you And if you knew that something bad had to happen in order to change the way people traveled, in order to change the way surveillance was, so you could get to a place your facial recognition could make you the money that you decided it was going to make when you came up with the idea of it, in the planning of your idea and the implementation of how it would work, would you not then invest into the political ideas and the operations of food and the people who are also in the same idea plan that you have? That if everybody marches lockstep into this idea that either something is going to happen, something is going to be allowed to happen, we're going to pretend that something happened, and we're going to take both of the sides of the thing that is happening that we know about, the thing that isn't happening that we've co-opted a narrative inside of, real or then not. Sometimes our most fakest things do the most work because everybody's so focused on it being real. We get to stretch out the fakery and actually move the ball way forward. Because people aren't thinking. They're thinking, I can't believe I woke up late and I had to rush and I forgot my toothbrush and I forgot this bottle of water that I didn't drink. It's in my bag and now I'm getting the extra pat down. I should have got up earlier. I should have. You're about to go on vacation and you're in the land of I should have. And you're in that position. You don't realize the incremental encroachments on your civil liberties that are happening around you. I'm not saying that these things are not going to be nefarious. The truth of the matter is, though, again, who is going to lay claim to the mistakes? If you have a facial recognition system that says that, hey, oh, there it is, bing, ding, 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 you brought you over, like, what's going on? Well, we tagged your 5-year-olds because it's, according to the AI in 1983, your 5-year-old used the word boof, and that set off the sensors. And I understand that it's the year 2025. Your kid was born in 2020. The machine, however, believes that your child is there in 1983. So now I'm going to need you to live in this cage. And I'm sorry. We're sorry. The people at the cage business are sorry. Good news, it's 2025. The blankets are edible. And because of how this business got started, those blankets are spicy. So enjoy those. Off in your cage. I'm sure the AI will give you an answer when it does, and then your time, your life, and your liberty is affected in real time in the limited breaths that you have on a fucking ruse. What is going to be the comeuppance? What we should be clamoring for, we should be demanding as a citizenry, is that if an algorithm makes an error that is that dire, that there is going to be, financial ramifications that would behoove the people that were coding the AI and coding the art that there's going to be in this and curating the code to the best of their ability as the AI programs itself to only run more optimally than the human being can understand what the definition of optimum even is. They're going to understand what is happening in a reality that is so fundamentally 100% focused because there is no doubt in there. To be brought back to a water-based, doubt-based, fear-based creature. You have, how many minutes have I been here? You have all right, you know what? Let's take a break. We're just going to do this because I don't want to get so far into the tank thing because I got to edit in midpoint here. And so again, all right, you have a theater of possibility and you have change that's going to come from it. In this case, civil war that was one person's idea, civil war that was another person's idea, the stopping of this guy's civil war and the stopping of this guy's civil war for businesses all owned by the same people because they have something in store that the public needs to demand, but something has to happen before the public demands it. All eyes on Florida, all eyes on Hollywood. All eyes on the way the government works. All eyes on revenge. And what is that? To have a revengeful or a vengeful divided public against itself. And whose idea was it in that for businesses and where is all of their investment money coming from? And if you knew, would it change the fact? I don't know. And that's a great question to be there. How does your programming react in that same situation? And are you fully here, fully aware, and just don't look at the narratives that are being sent to us by the mainstream media in the sense that they want you to ingest it. Think of the news that you are getting, like, what's that chef show where they get all the ingredients and they got to make something out of some bullshit. And ladies and gentlemen, every day we wake up with a new basket. Later on in the show, we're going to talk about one of the first ideas that was brought for the rebuilding of the cathedral was to put a minaret on top of it. So that's something to consider and something that's very interesting. And we'll be back after I think it's already great. What do you guys think about that? And then, of course, you've got Don't Do It, Donnie from Sacred Reich. Why not?
Don't do it! Don't do it, Donnie! Don't do it! Oh! Don't do it, Donnie! Don't do it! What? Don't do it, Donnie! Don't do it! Don't kill us all in a nuclear war! Don't run us over in your bulletproof car! Don't keep telling your transparent lies! Don't put your fascism dressed in disguise! Don't do it! That's right! Don't do it, Donnie! Don't do it!
Oh my God, how about this, folks? Brand new Sacred Reich. People in a Detroit neighborhood got quite a shock Thursday night when they saw a huge snake on top of a garage. Wait a minute, what's 18 feet long, got scales, and hiding on the top of a Detroit roof? Oh my God, obviously Nancy Pelosi's vagina's fuck on and a motherfucking God. What?
Don't do it! That's right! Don't do it, Donnie! Don't do it!
Gee, you think Detroit's scary enough, dude? Oh my God, dude, there are snakes on this plane, Chuck. Get me out of this neighborhood. First of all, you're running from your life from Eminem, the one guy with the Confederate flag, Kid Rock, that's right. All that brown water from Flint, dear God. Michael Moore just undid his belt, and there's a flavalanche. Now you gotta live in Toledo. I got the phone call from a neighbor telling me that I had a big-ass snake on the roof of my garage, Devin Jones White said. Everybody came out crowded around her. She spooked even more with the crowd. That's why she never came downstate up there doing her own thing.
I can't believe it be in our history books. You'll be remembered as a bunch of fucking crooks. What? Your name will live on an info map.
How about that for old school, dude? Good for them, dude. Let it go. What?
Don't do it.
That's right.
Don't do it, Donnie.
Oh, folks, out of nowhere, dude. I'll play new Sacred Reich and I'll play old Sacred Reich. Raging in the simulation. You guys were how old were you when this came out? Fuck Death Squad, dude. It was not for this song, this band, we would not have PC Death Squad, I'll tell you that much. Look at that hard-ass riff. Baby snatched from a cot and decapitated by a leopard. His mom sleeps through an attack. According to Drudge Report, who wants you to see yet a second sad animal story in a row. A leopard decapitated a baby after snatching him from his cot. The animal believed to have dragged the 9-month Deval Rathwa by his teeth while he was sleeping beside the mom at 4 o'clock in the morning. Oh my God. They found the kid's decapitated head the next day. Oh my God. Dude, worse than that, they had thrown the head off of the 3rd floor of the Mall of America. Can you believe the outrage? Oh yeah, what? It's being kept under observation in the Forest Department's Rescue Center. Leopard was captured close to where the body's decapitated found. Oh, it was found a day ago. Trap cages with baits inside of them were placed in the area to lure the animal into the cage. Oh, that sounds like, that sounds like Rod Rosenstein. That's right. No, I'm putting Roger Stone's illegal raid in a cage. That's right. No, dude, and then you lure the tiger in there. That's right, and then he goes and gets it. No, you get Donald Trump. You actually put Tiger Woods in the cage. That's right. He wants to be so close to that much greatness, and he gets caught up in the trap. Would you just not see Trump and Tiger coming home after, Tiger's got a bender and Trump drove, because he's just sober-minded. They both have 4 irons and they're taking care of a ne'er-do-well who tried to break in. Traps, cage with baits, placed inside of them. Wait, what? Deputy conservative of the forest area said, the boy's father are going to get 4,400 pounds in compensation for the death of his child. Dude, you give me 4. First of all, that's English money, dude. That's pounds. That's real money, dude. That's 4,400 English pounds. That's like, dude, 95,000 real American dollars. That's right now. Dude, I go to Alibaba and I pay some ne'er-do-well to build a, taking DNA. Look, I'm already way ahead of this. They gave me 4,400. I took that. I invested in DNA. I mixed it with this reptile that I got in Detroit. I sent that over to the Chinese. They gave me a sex robot that slithers so much and slithers so low to the ground and is so evil. The DNC has already concluded that they will be running against Donald Trump. Only in Denver's top iconic rock while we are raging in the simulation. All right, nerds, we're back. We're back as soon as you put your fat fucking face in the camera. What's up, nerds? We are now back. Huh? Again, Whiskey and the Surfer. I make those all day. They go up on pieces on IGTV. All of this goes up in pieces on IGTV. It all exists on the Whiskey and the Surfer YouTube channel, or I upload them on my Facebook page. However you're getting it, thank you for listening to it. If you're getting the podcast, why not? Why not? If you get to fill in a certain amount of time per day, let us have, you know what? I got the guts of the sandwich and I got the bread coming it together. Here you go. Enjoy yourself. And I hope the new information that you're getting, or what I am moving forward in our conversation that we are having together, is the way for you to engage in the idea of certainty in its fullness, with the anchor of faith, with the ever-present trust that what is happening is supposed to be, and your reaction to it ultimately drives the very foundational principles of the moment that you're having. In a world where, oh my God, did you see, is the dress white, is the dress blue? They said they lied this way and said that if you don't agree with them, you're a conspiracy theorist. And then these people over here said, can you believe what those conspiracy theorists just said about us who have had the truth the whole time? Every day. Every day, as much as you can take in. I will say that I'll give you a couple. You want some life hacks? See if I can get a faraway shot so you can understand this. 4.5 years ago, somebody asked me how I was. I said, oh, I'm amazing. Just was something that I said, and it stopped them cold. They were so used to having a conversation that said, hey, what's going on? Good. Whatever the normal answers that we give that drop us into our, again, automatic programming that says I'm bringing items to a register, small talk input, small talk output, money, thank you, nicety, we're on our way. If the programming works in the way it does. But if somebody says, how you doing? You go, I'm amazing. And the person at the register stops and looks at you in a state of shock and says, I never considered that. And then I said, yeah, because I said, we're in such an amazing universe here to be alive. Why not have that same element be a part of me if I'm a part of how amazing all of this is? And she's like, wow, that's awesome. And I just smiled and I walked away. I didn't think that was how my day was going to start it. Well, what happens is you have that conversation a lot because people aren't used to hearing it. And then you use it and you understand why you're using it, and you're understanding, the very ideas that go along with that and what happens over, I get a 3.5, 4, 5, I don't even know at this point how long I've been doing it. But imagine having that idea so ever present and available, because everybody asks how you're doing all the time. And you're having a very genuine interaction in the same way that, are you running now your new automatic program that you've changed? Instead of having the small talk thing, whatever, you've changed this program. And now guess what? You're changing your reality. And as much as you've changed that, and you've been aware of your changes as they go. So, along with that, okay, the fact that whatever's happening is supposed to be in a state of open acceptance here, open-hearted, and what I see people do, and God bless Brody Stevens, rest in peace, who would walk on the stage and be like, crossed arms, negative. And, when you see someone, this is a very defensive, this is first band hardcore demo stance. This is, I want you to think that I am tough, stern, fair as I judge my bike building show here on this reality network, or I'm a judge, or I'm a lawyer, or I'm the son of the hammer who, whatever the fuck. But you do this, and you're really just not only closing yourself off, you're putting off a real animal energy to the person that you're interacting with. And this puts them in a state of reaction to this. And so are you doing this as a defensive posture, or are you doing this as a sign of aggression? But what you're really saying is, no, I'm not here. I'm not open to the experience. And so when you look around and you see how folks are standing with their body language and how they're standing with their arms folded, and what are they putting off? How much of their idea is negation or negative energy, or destructive contrarianism just for the sake of being bored, or whatever it is. I'll tell you, as somebody who is a live performer, that what you'll notice and what I glean it's the best way to think about this. I've never really said this. I always consider the audience to be like an amplifier, and my bits are the songs and the banter that I'm going to do, and my voice is the instrument that is plugged into the amplifier. And it's always a different amplifier, and you never know what the best top range of that amplifier is going to be. You're going to be playing the fucking hits on 11 because these people are pure rock and roll. No, you're going to be doing 45 minutes of jazz, motherfucker, because they sat this room like a bomb went off, and it's service industry night in an economy where nobody has a job. Who's drinking? So what you find out in all of these situations is that if you have a person in the front row, I'm delivering from the center of this experience as a live performer and it's happening in a complete 360-degree sphere and always around. But if the audience is straight out this way, the same way that the light comes down from the moon or sun and you can see it set up in the pyramid as it goes, because that's just the fundamental sacred mathematics. So if somebody's sitting in front like this, they're giving the animal cue to the two people behind them that what's happening has no value, and they're letting that person take the social brunt of doing that while they check out. And then check out, and then check out, because they're checking out like this, because there's a point there where the blockage is limiting this. Just like a heckler in the back row, when they heckle, they're doing this. So by the time it hits the stage, they've encompassed the whole audience. They've taken that energy 100% back. And now that all that energy has been sent to you, the person with the microphone who's been doing this forever. And then in that situation, you have an ability to then bridge, get them, contain the back of the row, use your somebody, find a friend, have the crowd use their very possible mob tactics to bully this person into not heckling further and being a moron, ruining the show from the back of the show. Or you reel them in, or whatever they're saying to you, you completely bring in and think it's the greatest idea in the world. And now you're pulling 100% of the room's energy from the back wall all the way to the front, as you've completely cleared out any blockages on the way, just the same way you would have bad soldering on a head on your amp. Or you had a knob that was broken off, and now you've really got the gain. And now this amp is going to what you're doing, and the show is going to change. So I don't know how or why I got into that, other than the sense that I spend the majority of my day, if you're in a prayer practice, if you're doing a rosary, in my case now the Divine Mercy is happening around us. Today we prayed for those folks in the clergy and those folks who are... they've given their life over to serving the faithful, and the faithful including everybody, in whether they've got it, whether they don't know they have it, or they hate it, or they don't know they need it. Somewhere in the possibility they are there to serve all unjudgingly with infinite mercy, and as much as they've been given infinite mercy for their transgressions, they do so for others, because that is the order of operations. So today we pray for the mercy for them and the whole world. And we understand and we arrive at a place that we are in absolute trust with our faith and in our present moment and in God's will, and gladfully accepting change as it happens. So I have the ability, because I'm engaging in prayer all day, which is a constant yes, and I'm engaging in music, which is just a yeah, because that's the time, tempo, and all of that. Plus it's music that I love that, gets the hair going up on the back of your neck, or you really feel it locked into. I'm not really standing in a day where I'm watching commercials. You don't have this, you're not good enough, and if you get it, you'll be better, which is just no. 9 commercials an hour based on here's another thing and all of that. So a person that doesn't have any time spent in a state of yes, in a state of accepting, here's the word, here is music, here is information. And so you have people who are negatively, angrily, passive-aggressively defending every position in advance because they'll tell you they're cold when you ask them. And that's silly in its own right. So you have an arena of an event of something possible. You have perhaps sides of the money on the foundational principle of the planning of what is happening in a macro, because the constructed outcome is going to benefit them on an idea they've already had that is now being clamored to. If security at the airport is too much, then I'll use guns. Every time they say, we're coming for your guns, people go out and buy guns. So if I was in the business of selling bullets, I would be in the business of selling targets worth shooting at. If I had a target that had something that I could tie to the news, I might want to invest in something happening in reality that the news would cover, attach it to that very thing that was on my target, and now I'm selling more targets, which sells me more bullets, which sells me more guns, because the consumers that they're already believing and acting in their First Amendment right are there as willing consumers, and they got to resupply because somebody said they were going to take their guns away again. Do you see that? That's the Hegelian dialectic at work. So then why not look at the possibility of events created, real or not, opposed or supported or not, whether done by commission or omission or not, you still would be there in complete acceptance of what's happening with infinite mercy of all those people that is going on, as that's what happens. But for those of you looking at the news and watching it, how it changes, and watching how the people have doubled down, okay? It's not the report, it's his notes, it's not this, it's what about we need. What if the overarching side is just we need? And we're going to get more into that. We come back right after this here on Iron Brigade. We're going to talk about why they need, and why do you need, and what are you doing to stop that very need? I'd love to know. I feel like, I took all that DNC money and I sided with the Chi-Coms, and that's right. And then I feel like I'm the safest I've ever been. Does that sound like a drone? Is Obama here? What the hell's going on? In Denver, South Iconograph, we are surfing at Nicaragua. That is right. Ugh. How about bringing it back to the Iran-Contra hearing? And could you imagine having Bill Barr on the news? What? Okay. Sing along, fight for democracy, the American way. What? Not in the country, am I doing easy? That's right. Now it's too late. You're entering Managua. You're by yourself and you can serve Nicaragua. Only on Denver's top iconic rock will you get an old history lesson from back when they used to actually print headlines. Woman accused of harassing a man with folks. Folks, if you had to guess, how many texts would a person have to send to be considered harassment, folks? 159,000 texts. That's right. I send that many texts so the NSA cannot keep up with what I'm doing. That's right. I can't believe it. I'm actually in jail. She couldn't tweet to anybody because they had taken her phone away from her and her thumbs. Her thumbs were kept in solitary confinement away from her body. Everybody knows it. Woman accused of sending a man more than 159,000 text messages and breaking into his Paradise Valley home. Oh boy, how good was that dick, my friends? Dear Lord. Those were among the comments made by Jacqueline Aids in a recent phone interview with the Arizona Republic, where she had been held since May of last year. Got national attention if authorities says she continued to stalk a Paradise man after a single date. Everybody sent thousands of text messages to him over the course of 10 months, including some where they threatened to wear his flesh and devour his organs, ladies and gentlemen. And I want to see if this chick has fangs. Dear God. Not if this chick has fangs, dude. Now she'll be gnawing through the bars to get out of this prison. Maintained that the threats against the man's life were jokes that she would never act on. No, dude, I heard the joke. She was like, hey, Russia, can you send this guy 159,000 text messages? If I had a perverted imagination, what would I think? I think I'd be hosting this show. I'll buy it. And then I wrote all of these weird things just like I was literally playing with my imagination, and it turned out that scared him, folks. Oh my God, they've weaponized a crazy chick's imagination. Could you imagine? Aids was deemed mentally incompetent by a Rule 11 hearing in March. This is according to the azcentral.com. Trial was ordered delayed by at least 60 days early this month as psychologists attempt to restore her to competency. Aids, who have been held in a Maricopa County jail with a bond for a year, could have walked out of jail several months ago by accepting a plea deal that called for her release with time served, with probation for 10 years, barring the contact She refused to take the deal. She didn't believe any of it was real, bro. She said the victim's way of testing her resolve. He wants it. This is how bad he wants it enough to send me to jail, so when I get out, he's gonna want it. That's right. Dude, pink is the new orange, used to be the old black. That's right. Kate said she wants to go to trial where she's positive. Kate said she told the Republic she refused to take the deal. She didn't think it was real. Positive the jury would find her not guilty, will order her and the man she's accused of talking to marry her. What is happening right now? She claims she'd been abducted by Walt Disney, who believes she's a member of the Illuminati and manned a spaceship. Oh my God, where do I sign up? Does this sound crazy? It sounds like I'm crazy. My mom says they're going to put you back on Rule 11 court if you go around telling people, but this is a true story. I am not lying. I woke up, I was in the middle of Space Mountain, that's right. Kate said she was most likely to move back to Florida once she was released and go to school to become a Pilates instructor. So she wouldn't contact the man again because she believes he would reach out to her on his own, the victim not identified in court records. Oh, one thing I wanted to show you guys, you know they always show aliens, you know, well, this chick said she was flying a flying saucer, I'll tell you that much. And you know that they show the aliens, where's my camera? And their hands look like some Spock shit, all right, you see that? Do you realize what we're being morphed, my friend? Wait, is this thing on camera? Let me use the other thing. Is this on camera right now? Folks, they're turning into that. And that is how the aliens got there, my friends, by absolutely allowing that morph as we turn into cyborgs here in the simulation. If you can imagine having such a great idea. All right, nerds, let's do this and get back to what we were breaking down, which is how people have the choice of how they engage with information as they come upon it. Are you looking at it as in a state of neutrality to your situation because you're going to act in regards to your programming in as much as you have an effective program there to react with, as opposed to people who are not conscious of how they're reacting to stimulus, and so that they may fall prey and victim to people who know how to create an environment because they know how a person like that is going to react. So they're like, I'm going to make the cat jump because I know the cat's going to jump either here or here. What I've done is I've put something over here, so when the cat jumps, I know it's only going to come over here where the curtains are that you just bought. It's time to go buy some new curtains. Does that make sense? It shouldn't. That was the dumbest example I've ever come up with, literally, in this show. Does that make sense, though, that if you had the ability, the wherewithal, the time, and the planning to create a map or a scenario, a battlefield, only the planners know what the real battlefield is. All of us looking at what's perhaps happening based on the news that we get and how much we trust the news that we get is going to change how we engage in that. And if they know that people, again, can be controlled in that, so why not draw them into the experience? We'll use a big orange guy. You understand that? That's the Hegelian dialectic at work, okay? So when they want to talk about the rebuilding of the cathedral, and the first idea that's trotted out is that they want a minaret on top of the cathedral, which is where that's on a mosque. So again, is that just a story implanted to inflame the very ideas? Or if people think that something nefarious happened to the burning down of this structure, are we surprised then that the first idea coming to rebuilding would have benefit the idea of the people purported to have burned down the thing, if indeed there was arson? Again, you don't know the truth of the situation. You don't know that whole map, but what you can look at from an over 40,000 foot view is how people and societal norms and ideas are encroaching. And so when you have the tragedy of the cathedral burning at Notre Dame, you had people who are like, this is awful, this has impacted my view, this has impacted my life, from all the way to the people who are laughing because they're atheists or laughing because their religious ideas go against the Catholic Church, or they're just contrarians, or they were just making jokes for the sake of making their followers laugh, or trolling people who didn't know who they were to get business. All of that is possible. All of that is available. My question to you is, how are you engaging in all of this? Okay? Because if you can step back and look at all of these players, you've already divorced yourself from the fact that right and left it's silly. Okay? Because we know there is either the straight line of truth in its fullness, or there is a lie which is based on the curved line of the lie, which will not stand. It would make sense that the feminine creative, in the sense of the eternal circle, the point of experience that all of things emanated from, that point, which is indeed still a circle, if you take off a piece of that eternal shape, okay, if you want to take a piece of it, there's your curved line, of which it's not attached to its eternal thing, so it's there free floating. Does that make sense to you? And so you have this eternal object, and now you have spun off from it a lie, which will not stand, because from this eternal object, the lines that it creates are direct. It's not curved. It's point A to point B. There you go. Here's your circle. Boom, it's in half. Okay. Half again. Boom, what do you have? 90-degree angle, 90-degree angle, 90-degree angle. What do we know about angles? That an acute angle has more of a hunger for the next angle down than the obtuse angle being overlaid to go to 180. So if you have a lie that's being overloaded with the lie, eventually it's going to snap. So those of us who are studying AI, who knows that they're running out, and you're using language as language has been ultimately intended, not how you use it when you're lying to yourself about the experience that you're having. When you're in a state of want, or a state of lack, or a state of being scared. You want to go real weird on this? I'll take you to some, okay, how about this? And the idea back in the Egyptian days, right? When you had the god of the sun, and then you had the rising sun as the water danced across the water to you, because the restarting of the day was that sunrise that you had faith in. And that is where more than likely all of their mythology and understanding of information, or in this case, breaking down information to its most fundamental principles, they left it behind the pyramid. And by leaving behind the pyramid, you understood this idea of sphere, of shape, of mathematics. Do you know how many mathematical principles were available in that very pyramid itself, and its alignment and all of that? That is a real forward-thinking society that says we need our truth to stand when this humanity may go away, to show the next civilization coming down what was here, to give them a step up if they don't have that yet. Does that make sense? So that if we know the math is that a lie cannot stand, and as it gets overloaded, in this case, an obtuse angle, an obtuse look at what's happening, does that make sense? You can call it a lie, or you can call it a misperception of what you're really bringing in. Your biases caused you to perceive differently, in the presupposition of your bias as you looked, instead of looking neutrally. And neutrally in the map, as you stand in it and look around, which is your environment, in the same way that you would read a story and understand the sides that are happening in there, the lies of the sides that are happening there, and the lies that sides may even exist in the article that you're bringing in. On a 10-foot level, 100-foot level, from a mile up, from looking over at the earth to the overview effect, understanding that we are just thankful to be here in this point of time. So you have a field of vision through a circular object of your eyeballs, engaging with other people as you talk to them about truth and justice, which exist in their entirety as well, in the same shape as what you're experiencing. So we have a eyeball to eyeball, a circle to circle experience that we should be engaging in the principles of the shape that's being engaged. Round heads, round eyes, a round mouth with more than likely round ears. So that should give us the very overarching key of this is an experience that should be engaged like this, not in a fearful sense. So again, I went to being scared, and we went down the path of Egypt and them leaving the math, and I brought that up because in Egyptology they had the idea that there was the serpent, which was the sacred animal, and there was the snake, which was the let me see. That's the base. That's the human sinful, less than earth version of, I guess, not its sacredness. So you had the sacred serpent, you had the lowly snake, and that is in their Egyptology. And then you also have the beginning and the end. You have the Alpha and the Omega. So imagine this. You have the capital S for the ancient serpent. You have the small s for the snake. You have the Alpha and the Omega. Looking at that, knowing where when we built our letters, where we got these letters from, knowing that the S more than likely came from that very letter, but used in the sacred use of the letter, not in the snake-based version of the letter. So then even the letters are supposed to be used at a level that's even, again, with a different elevated principle, so then you can understand the truth or stand under the truth in its entirety, in as much as you don't doubt it. So perhaps in a long time ago, when they figured out how to make the pyramid, if you want to make it easy and you know that there's two energy lines running through you, perhaps the capital S sacred serpent, perhaps the lower capital S snake, you could look at a human entity with both of those energies running through them, unchecked, as a person who is just a victim of their misuse of their emotions, gives them a life where that snake S is taking over their reality. And the reality is there's an Alpha, there's an Omega, there's a beginning, there's an end. So as the Alpha with the sacred snake, you are, so the same S, so S Omega, then you are. So if you're there living the lowly snake lifestyle, there you will be in the lowly snake lifestyle. If you're looking at the capital S in that way, then you're perhaps engaging in your reality as much as you can get outside of your unconscious programming to be there. With the Alpha and the Omega ever present, and you having a sacred experience because your order of operations is correct. So that if we know that you have perhaps the S of either sacred or snake or serpent or snake, all right, and then you have the Alpha, the A. Let's look at this. How about the word sacred and the word scared? It's literally almost the same word, which extremely experiences both sides, because you may have a godlike experience or a God experience in itself. It's like you should have fear of the Lord, which is a great reason to be here and to be thankful. Okay, and once you've established that, that's one of the gifts that you get with your faith is that fear of the Lord. But if you have no belief at all and you're just in a state of fear, you're scared, well, then what happens if somebody's living a sacred idea of being here, and that same information that they've taken in have given them a scared idea to be here because they had their Alpha in the wrong position? Here's my sake, Alpha. What's left? Credibility, reality. There it is. And then scar is your fear because you wear it in as much as you give it off as you walk around the planet. So we'll be back after this, and I'm going to wrap all of it. What does all of this have to do with the one point that I wanted to make in the show that we had today? Well, we're going to find out as soon as you listen to Watch One More Whiskey and the Surfer. And thanks for joining here on Iron Brigade, folks, raging in the simulation. Enjoy yourselves. Man, all right, I have a story that goes along with this. Man used a squirt gun to shoot a neighbor with his urine. Oh, boy. And I read, Pea-brain Florida man. That's according to the NewYorkPost.com. You guys ever heard the hardest mosh riff that came out of whenever this was? This Suit 71 is facing a misdemeanor battery charge after a Saturday arrest in Golf Bar. What happened to him? There's nothing left for you, I'm a worthless loser. He spotted an unidentified woman walking her dog, approached the victim, pulled out a water gun that contained his own urine. I'll show them. For having fun with their pets out in public. No, you know how hard it is to pee in one of those small holes in a squirt gun? Dear God. Benjamin squirted the woman several times and told the police he would do it again if given the chance, according to the arrest report. He had no idea what sparked the urine attack. sickening incident did not cause bodily harm to the woman. Release from the Pinellas County Jail could not be immediately released or reached. Was P reached? You didn't have trouble with that one. So how do we tie all of this back? I'm sure you're wondering, like, how did we and why did we go through all of these things? Why did we have to hit all of these, in this case, why do we have to talk about different arenas around the world? Why do we have to talk about different people investing and creating ideas around the world? Why do we have to consider the idea that there are people around the world creating scenarios that do not exist because they are being, in this case, ingested and digested by the public who is engaging in this same information, real or not, in the same way that they would have regardless? So why not fake what we shouldn't get caught making real as anything you and I may know? And again, it does not matter at what level we look at this. At the time you get to the overview effect of the planet, you understand that you are a vital amount of a very, very amazing thing that is happening in the universe. And are you engaging in that very eternal circular experience of your point in time? Again, what is a line? It's a series of points. We have the most sacred symbol. The first of the primary symbols was the circle. Okay. It's an eternal shape. It has always been. It is an unending circle, and by very definition exists in eternity, which means that the idea existed outside of time in the same way that existed the concepts of, well, the concept of point has the concept of beginning, which begets the concept of ending. Are you with me on that one? A point is what it makes up a line, but the line can't exist unless it emanates from the circle. As the outside of the circle comes to the center, or it completely goes all the way through the middle and creates the primary shapes of the one line down, one line across. What does that look like? The positive and the negative? I probably should have been on camera when I did that, right? This way. You have a circle. It's always been, okay? This is you. This is your life experience. This is you as a sacred being alive right now in every situation that you find themselves in, real, imagined, constructed, or absolutely natural and occurring, okay? Is it not then what is happening in all forms God's will? And then are you reacting to then with your circular programming in mind as you have this experience with other people who are having this experience as well? They may not be aware that they are. And so with that information, are you operating in this principle of complete awareness, okay, that they need to full attention and mercy and all of those gifts that we should be giving as people of faith? But then also make sure that as we talk about divided, connected scenarios, that the person that's talking to you in your own mind as you talk to yourself you're talking to yourself in the same principle of center, and the same principle of the point, and the same principle of the truth as you stand under truth as it is. And as you stand under truth as God appears as a justice, well, then you will get the life that justice demands based off of how much truth you brought to that party and your understanding of it, which is why you need the advocate of Christ to be there, to be the advocate for you, to stand in front of you, between you and God, as God himself, as justice is shielded by the advocate, and you, my friend, maintain your ever-present connected circle, because in the beginning of all of this was the point of creation. And the point of creation and the point of the idea is the idea of the Holy Spirit visited Mary with the whole complete story of Jesus in mind and said, this is it. Do you say yeah? And she said yes. And from that point of acceptance, being all in, Joseph then also did that. And they raised this kid who also had no doubt in his divinity, so much so that he gave himself and rose from the dead, my friends, always being. So if you are existing in a way where you're just a curved line as a piece of that, do not be surprised that your mathematical reset that you get, perhaps when that curved line is overloaded with the obtuse nature of lies, it breaks it returns back to, again, the restart from the beginning. And if there's that common restart from the beginning and you're not there to make it happen, I do not know, nor am I aware of how that process goes. I am only aware of the process of faith and forgiveness and being in the order of operations as math presents to us. So what we talk about in the show is certainty. And we should be able to look at all things as the mathematical certainties that they are. That every level of your ability to have emotions, engage in emotions, or engage in truth, engage in be just a person in the rising and the lowering of the tides as you go swimming. Are you fighting against the ebb and the flow of the ocean, or are you floating along with it? You're in the river, and you are in the depths where it is so quiet, and that water is running very still. You're in the shoal off to the side, or you're by a rock and it's tumult. Are you still not the river in its fullness? That water that started as the same point. Does that make sense? That water that turns into wine, that is here for the people that have chosen to work in the vineyard. And that water that creates you as a water-based being to create more water-based beings, to take care of each other as the healthy part of who you are in this ecosphere and how you help others. And if your day is spent in a state, how about this? 2 options. Are you having a sacred experience? Are you having a scared experience? Are you having the capital S serpent? Are you having the lower S snake? Are you in a state of acceptance? Are you in a state of rejection? Are you fully here and full frontal and accepting and absolutely loving the fact that you get to have this experience, and from that place of gratitude you're giving? And then from there you're having these amazing experiences and connections, and then from that standpoint you're watching your life transform around you. And then every single day is full of opportunities and phone calls and people that you're connecting with, and you're connecting with that same energy of growth, and you keep returning to it in that nature of what it is. You have a circular experience with everybody, regardless of whether or not they know it, and have a whole encompassing truth of whether or not they know it. So watch the map, okay? Watch the map that's presented, okay? The map that was presented was, here's a crime, here's the obstruction of the crime. Now we know there was no crime, so there was no obstruction of the crime. So we know if there was no crime and they called it a crime, what did they create in order to call that a crime? Or was there something of a natural process that they followed every single rule they were supposed to? And that got us to where we are. Now we're going to find out exactly, did this go to 2014? Did this go to 2015? Did this go to the White House in January of 2016? And if Trump had his cyber team together in 2011, did they watch it come? And what would you do if you had the foreplanning in mind? To know that you had already planned this for what you were going to consider and move forward after the dossier was shown to be false and the Mueller report was shown to be false, and you're going to find holes in all of this. And my friends, it's a good time in America to get to know your neighbors, and it's a good time to be the best American we can be at all times, right? And be here for each other, and do not be divided by the people who are only here to profit, to divide you in this point of time where you are, in the center of that point of time where you are, having this sacred, eternal experience right now, in as much as you can get outside of your unconscious programming and focus on it, in a world that is going to distract you from everything from that. So we'll think of things in simplicity. If you see a circle out in the world, it's a great reminder to be thankful, right? If you see the color green out in the world, it's a great time to remember to love from your heart center, okay? If you see somebody who's scared or coming from a place of fearfulness or lack, understand that they're having a scared experience and not a sacred experience. If they were having a true sacred experience, they would be engaging in different actions. The actions have to outweigh the words in this case, because that is how truth was conveyed before we had written language, when it was conveyed more than likely before the hominids could make grunting noises, or they had a whole language that just involved looks, or they had a whole language that just involved signs. And the signs of all of this as it started in the beginning was the eternal circle. Inside of that is plus and minus, which does not mean more or less. It means great and good. And that is what's available in all things. Now, if you want to live outside of great and good, then don't be surprised at what that finds at the bottom of your math equation. When you live a life outside of the circle, or in this case, you live a rectangular, angry, pointed, judgmental life through your own rectangle as you wage war against yourself, against others, using the rectangle of how you perceive your scared point of your reality to get people through their rectangles to engage in a way that is not circular in the macro. So anyways, thank you for watching. God bless. My book, Death by Autopilot, it's the first third of the Witnesses of Elsewhere story. If you've had an experience with the Holy Spirit, if you've had an experience with healing, if you've had an experience with faith, I'd love to hear about it. Weaponsgradefaith.com, whiskeyandthesurfer.com for those of you who have been there or are here now. The freeing nature of certainty, to know that you're going to step through your own death through that veil with the same confidence that you're here alive watching me talk and listen, is ultimately the point. Are you here now? And how much can you be forever? God bless everybody. Weapons Grade Faith. God bless and have an amazing night.